Hey Taurus, this is Hal for HES Ultimage, and this is your Spirit Tea Leaf forecast for the month of August. Hey guys, so yes, the Earth signs are getting tea leaf readings for the month of August, and this is your teacup. And yes, I always show it just to show you that I actually took the effort to do this. I know you really can't make out a lot in there, but I just like to show it so that way there are actually tea leaves here. um, I always write down the symbols first because that way it just keeps it simple. And that way you don't have to wait around for me to figure out each symbol in the cup. It could drive people crazy just watching me going like, what does that mean? Okay. All right. So that said, for Taurus for August, it's interesting. It's like, it seems like a very dreamy month and a month where you're like in your mind a lot. It's a very imaginative month, I want to say, because it's got a lot of dreamy elements to it. It's like I feel like your mind is going to be in a lot of places. I think you're going to have a very active fantasy life inside of your mind, kind of. But I'll give you what I've got here. Okay, and they're telling me to tell you this one really quick because it was an element in the cup, because really I think the majority of your month is going to be pretty simple, but there's one element they want me to bring forward first, and I think it might just wind up coloring some of the other areas. Yeah, and it would make sense that it would, yeah. In the area of the snake, we did have what was a cat chasing a fish, and the fish was chasing something else, and it's called cat and mouse game, okay? So the idea is there may be thoughts or people that wind up creating doubts in your mind. So these might be, self-perpetrated too. So let's say you're in your mind about something and it's kind of, okay, because the idea of the cat and mouse game is some thought or some person is in an elevated position while that smaller thing is in a more vulnerable position. And the idea is one thing wields the power over another, and it's kind of like a mind game. That can result, okay, from another person, but it could also result from your own mind. And because here's the other thing, because this is a big energy of the month, when your mind is just kind of open and wandering, you can sometimes wander into, feelings of paranoia or confusion just as easily as you could fall into thoughts of, pretty poetic things, okay? Because that's kind of the thing here. With the area of the snake, I feel like it's not so much something, because they even told me, they were like, it's really not that big. But it could literally just be your own thoughts that lead to this cat and mouse game. Okay, so it could be another person or another person's words that confuse you and cause you to go on to some sort of kind of mind loop of trying to figure out what they meant or what their relation is to you. But honestly, I think it might just be your own thoughts. Maybe it's like a thought that you've given a lot of power to winds up, yeah, playing with your own sense of security or your own sense of comfort. And security is a big one too. Wow, okay. Because security is another one of the themes of this month when it comes to what you're thinking of and dreaming of, okay? So, again, I'm going to give you an example of this just to finish fleshing out that one element, because, again, the rest of it's very dreamy and open. And there's a very abundant symbol, too, later that I have for you as well, but I think it's important for me to finish this so you understand how it functions. Let's say you had a fear and you kind of buried it or put it away, and then it pops up again. That could be an example of the cat and mouse game. Because again, it can be purely mental and purely of your own thought cycle. So if the fear pops up again, don't give more power to the fear than is necessary. Because you'll get into a cycle where you're going, something is bigger than me and is taunting me in some way, or wielding its power over me in some way that's completely unnecessary, okay? The idea is when you recognize the cat and mouse game of something that seems bigger than you or seems to be toying with your feelings, emotions, or sense of security, that you identify it and then move beyond it. Because again, identification is one of the biggest things when it comes to any kind of fear or insecurity. If you can identify what it is, then you can also identify ways to get beyond those things. Okay. All right. Okay, all right, now we're moving into the shelter theme. Oh, okay, which is part of what's leading right into what we're talking about. The image for the shelter thing was Castle on a Cloud. It's the idea of dreaming of shelter or dreaming of a situation that's a little more secure, because the security theme is the other big thing. I think it's kind of literally like that Les Miserables song kind of mentality of, you know, in this particular place that I dream of, I'm perfectly safe. And yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing, because they had me, when they drew that X in my mind, they drew it over the cat symbol. The idea is you can get beyond your own fears or insecurities by just giving yourself a little more power to dream beyond them. You know, again, identification is the big name of the game when it comes to any kind of insecurity that you might have, because it doesn't have to be even a literal fear, but it can be an insecurity. It can be an insecurity about money, about lover relationships, about other relationships or companionships. It could be about work. It could be about any number of things. But the idea is, again, because I have to touch on this energy because I want to make sure that you guys understand it to interpret it right. When it comes to the cat and mouse energy, it's the feeling that something is bigger than you and is playing around with your feelings, emotions, or playing around with your sense that you have power, or playing around with the idea that it's taunting its own power over you, which makes your own power feel like it's less, okay? So if it were in the case of career, the idea would be the cat and mouse game would be like, maybe you want to get a better job or a promotion, and you feel like things just keep, like, you go for interviews and then you think you interviewed well and then it was taken away from you in some way. By giving too much power to that mentality, you wind up, you know, in August in particular, because this is just for August again, guys. In August, if you give that kind of situation too much hold over your own mental process, you're going to have a harder time moving beyond it. The idea is to recognize that, okay, this might be how it seems right now, but at the same time, you have to recognize your own power and how big you are in your own way to erase, right? To erase the feelings of being an underdog or being a smaller force that's being played with, okay? The idea is you need to understand your own sense of greatness and your own sense of largeness in what you have to offer, or who you are in and of itself, because if it had to do with love and relationships, it might seem like love and relationships continue to elude you, in which case, how can you feel secure in your own self that you don't have to let that become, something that has power over you, okay? Because you can grow beyond that by going, I'm happy with who I am as I am. Yeah, you know, if relationships are something that are eluding you and making you feel like something's being, you know, put in front of you and taken away. Okay, again, it's all about perspective, and again, seeing how you are greater and, you know, larger in that respect detracts your own fear of what you think is bigger than you, but actually in reality is a part of mental projection in this case. Oh, okay, wow. And they're literally confirming for me that's the case. So it is a lot more mental, because they brought the cloud into the cat element. So that means it really is a big deal about projections you create through these things you think are bigger, that are, you know, either toying with you, or you know, or being like, you know, it could even be like that horse and the carrot and whip analogy, where it's like you feel like a carrot's being lifted before you and then taken away or something. You have to keep in mind, again, that you need to trust in your own sense of security and your own sense of power, okay? Big part of August for you guys, okay? Okay, and now they actually want me to get into the abundant, right? The abundant energy that I had in the cup for you, which is between Mercury and Jupiter, which was a sacred cow or sacred calf. Um, and between Mercury and Jupiter, that's between communications and good fortune. So there will be a lot of good fortune resultant of communication. Yeah, because again, the key thing is keeping your mind space clear, and that's the big thing. Because again, the rest of what you're going to be hearing in this is it's going to be a very fantasy style month on a mind level. And it's like these really like meditative, fluid, it's like you're in empty mind space. And within empty mind space, you get to the dreaminess of, like, this is how people come up with an idea for a poem or a picture. You know, it's that level of emptiness that results before creation. It's kind of that kind of vibe. And I'm going to give you more of these, but because with the Mercury and Jupiter being the sacred calf, I think it's the idea that you can create a lot of good things within your communication and receive good things through communication. But again, it kind of hinges on the fact that you've already overcome any kind of insecurities. Because you don't even have to go into the insecurity route, but it's the empty mind space that would lead you there, okay? It's kind of the idea of a person having a good trip or a bad trip. Like, okay, that's a horrible example. But, you know, if a person's hallucinating on particular substances, they could have a good trip or a bad trip. And the idea is if it's a good trip, then you have these like happy, dreamy things happening or see happy, dreamy things. If you have a bad trip, then you're seeing the scary things that are, again, projections of your own thoughts and feelings and things that are maybe even buried. Again, you want to be in the very, you know, happy end of that spectrum. And we've already covered so much about what the negative turn could be that I'm sure you can identify it and move away from it very easily. All right, okay. Oh, cool. Okay. And remember how I was talking about that castle on a cloud, that idea of the shelter that you can create for yourself through a dream, kind of? It has to do, yeah, with the fantasy element taking a positive route, okay? And again, the fantasy is just about your mind being so open and so, I want to say almost vulnerable, because the idea is you're going to be letting your mind go to a lot of different places. I think you're kind of representing Piscean energy this month because of the fact that it has such a dreamy quality, such a daydreamy quality, really. Because the other thing at the center of the cup was a geisha style maiden. And it's this idea that, okay, number one, it showed me the concept of solitude, but also beauty within solitude. It's kind of that idea of Memoirs of a Geisha where it's like the geisha was contracted to be company for other people, but in their own solitude might feel incredibly alone within themselves. Um, it's that kind of an idea. Again, I think it's a very introspective month for you. It doesn't feel super, super social. It's a lot about where your own mind is and how you can explore your own mind. And it's kind of like your mind is its own landscape and you're traveling it and it's like you kind of create what you discover. Yeah, yeah, they really like that one. Because with the Geisha Maiden, it's like this idea. Because when I saw the Geisha Maiden, that's the other thing. She represented a Geisha Maiden in like a kabuki play. So like she didn't even seem like a 100% regular, authentic, everyday geisha, but this idea of a fantasy figure of beauty and mystery, because geishas also embody a sense of mystery, like secret practices. Knowledge of a secret world is how they used to like word it too. Because even their beauty secrets, you know, which are becoming a part of some beauty lines, had been kept secret for, you know, decades upon, you know, maybe a century or two. Um, it's really interesting. It really does represent this idea of a secret world that you're kind of discovering in your own mind. It's very unique because it's not like this is every day. August in particular is bringing out this quality in you of you know, being dreamy and being open. Um, it's kind of that, okay, I'm gonna bring in this element too, and it is distinctly Japanese again, but it's the idea of like a cherry blossom viewing and the idea of transience, or the idea that, you know, a moment lasts within a moment, and then it can be gone. That's the way your thoughts are operating in August. It's like you can be having, again, it's very daydreamy, so it's like 1 second you're, you know, focused or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're daydreaming into something else. It's nothing to fear, you know, because I know that Taurus, you know, me having a lot of planets in Taurus, want to be constructive, want to be very grounded in reality and in doing things. But this month, it really is about, you're just naturally going to be in the state where you're just going to be, your mind's going to be wandering a lot. And it can take on a really beautiful quality. And again, it's like I said, it can also take on a little bit of a shadow quality depending on how you choose to feel within this month. And again, how quickly you can also identify if you are moving into the shadow, daydream, or bad trip, you know? But here we go. More in, oh, okay. More in this area. Yep. And it's in Mercury, actually, which is like the one part I was kind of overlooking before, which is, again, your communication. There's a secret garden and these koi fish, like a koi pond, like the koi fish swimming around. The secret garden comes back to that geisha maiden energy of, it's like a fantasy. It's like, again, that very free mind space that allows you to just daydream and be very, very poetic, okay? And poetic doesn't mean writing poetry literally, but poetic in how you can perceive life, or perceive life from a broader perspective. Really, this is about the fantasies and adventures that exist in your mind, really. It's kind of the same concept also of people like fantasizing. Like, sometimes that can be fun. Okay, cool. And now they're like, okay, now you've got it, push that part. Because that's the thing. Like, this month is a lot about fantasizing and seeing how fantasizing can be, you know, something positive. Because that's the other thing. Like, you're going to be in a daydreamy state no matter what. So the idea is, you know, what form will it take on is kind of dependent on you. And we want it to take on, yeah, we want it to take on the pretty element, the dreamy element, the fantasizing element. Because sometimes it's fun to daydream, you know? Sometimes it's fun to fantasize, you know, and this can take on really silly, kind of commonplace, examples too. Like, you know, just fantasizing about, like, what if, this was, you know, what life was like, or other things like that. The point is, be creative when it comes to, and be comfortable with daydreaming is really the whole point. Because the whole point is, you're going to be in that state of mind of just, like, you know, kind of just zoning out a lot more in August than you normally would. And they want me to emphasize that it really is only about August. So don't think this energy is going to be carrying over. But the point is, you can be uncomfortable with that, or you can enjoy it. Right, yeah. And that's really what they wanted me to push forward that much more, was the idea that, you know, you can be uncomfortable with the fact that you're, you know, zoning out and daydreaming, or you can enjoy the process. Okay, and then in Jupiter, which represents good fortune and gifts and all, okay, give me a second, because they're trying to give me something very specific here, and I know roughly what it is, but I want to make sure I convey it right. Because in Jupiter, there was, like, clothing or an outfit. Okay, give me a second, because I just want to ask them, like... Okay, cool. And they're saying this is actually more relative to real life. So I think the idea is it has to do with, yeah, like, literally, wardrobe, what you wear, or how you present yourself, okay? Yeah, and they're saying all ways. So it could be how you present yourself through your clothing, your appearance, etc. In which case, August can be a really, yeah, really great month to either update your wardrobe or, you know, get a makeover or try a new hairstyle or try a new hair color or try a new sense of style. Because again, with you in that dreamy quality, it could even be as simple as, okay, here's a good example because it ties right in. Part of your daydreaming could be like, what would it be like if I was a blonde instead of a brunette? Or what would it be like if I dressed more like rock and roll instead of preppy? You know? It could really be that simple. So part of your daydreaming could even have to do with how you could reinvent yourself or show a new side of yourself. Okay, because that's the other thing. They focused on outfit, so the idea is with the outfit energy that you can change it anytime you want. Yeah, it's like it's the idea that you know how you choose to express yourself or even dress yourself in this case um, is something that could be very fluid, especially in August. So like feel free to be adventurous in August with exploring, you know, daydreaming and also how you know again how you present yourself to other people. Yeah, and they're showing it me again with Mercury and Jupiter with the sacred cow, and Mercury with the secret garden and stuff, and the koi fish. That it's like the way you're going to be interacting with other people, you're kind of bringing the dreaminess to other people. And again, yeah, they're crossing out the snake energy. So they're like, they want you to share the beauty of this energy with other people because you're the one who's going to be experiencing it. So if you can bring that dreaminess into other people's lives during August, it can really be to their benefit and that they'll find it to be something very appealing and beautiful. Oh my god, and then they threw me at the geisha. And again, that idea of the geisha was contracted to patrons or events to be a work of art for other people and to welcome people into a different kind of mentality, lifestyle, or world, if you will, a world of grace, a world of beauty. Because again, even their kimonos were like very elaborate. Their, you know, even their regular hand gestures were very, you know, calculated as far as how you would present, you know, even just like a cup of tea or how you would pour the tea, you know? In this case, you're kind of embodying that energy for other people in August to be this kind of courier or merchant of fantasy and merchant of beauty and of merchant of the daydream, basically. You're kind of delivering daydreams to other people. Yeah, and I really hope you guys listen that long because that's a pretty specific message. But that's the point. It's like for August, for Taurus, you're going to be the merchant of daydreams, okay? So not only are you living it in your own life, but you're meant to be sharing it with other people, yeah. And they actually threw me at the word sacred when I said that. So the idea is you being able to share your beautiful daydreams and point of view with other people this month. It's like you are being, you know, the geisha for them and allowing them to escape their own mundane, everyday, like very, you know, Groundhog Day kind of every day's the same element, and you welcome them into a daydreaming portion where you go, like, oh, well, this is what I'm thinking about, and these are the things I'm wondering about, or even through your own representation. Because again, I already touched on this, and yeah, but I'll bring it back, is that idea of, let's say you're doing something new with your appearance or something, that could even be a dreamier kind of appearance, whether it's you're maybe going for clothing that's a little more colorful or unique or printed or more artistic, okay? Because even fashion or beauty products or other things like that can be used in a more artistic manner. And I think you're going to be feeling that much more artistic this month. Because again, you're embodying that geisha energy. And this is true for dudes too. Don't think it's not. Like, beauty is both masculine and feminine. I think that beauty is ethereal, which means it surpasses gender. Okay? You know, the image in the cup is just an image. But the idea is that, like, you can't genderize the image in the cup to a particular gender when you're talking about the interpretation. But the idea is that, again, you can bring other people the beauty of your own daydreaming or the beauty of your own artistic reinventions on a more external level, sharing that with other people, even if it's reinventing your look, has a profound effect on others this month. All right. So that said, I think you guys are going to be embodying some beautiful energy this month. Um, Again, if you find your daydreaming taking another type of turn, just identify, move on, and then move into the beautiful energy again, okay? All right, that said, I do personal readings. If you want one, hit the link below. Hope you do, and I hope you have an awesome daydreamy month. I'll see you later.